Hi there! Welcome to 60Matthews. I'm Matthew, and this is going to be the second video in the Week in the Life of series. This week, I'm mainly going to be focused on Battlefield, the game I started in the last episode. I've got a lot of work I need to do, so most of the week I'll want to spend doing that, but at least one of those days I need to focus on some writing stuff. Because I'm participating in NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month. I've got a book called A Single Blade that I've wanted to start for a little while, but every time I started it, I would get like a paragraph or two in, and I wouldn't be able to take it anywhere. I've thought about the story a lot. I've gotten a through line. I kind of have an outline, but I need to finalize what I want to do before we go into November. But first, I really want to get started on Battlefield, so I'm going to start on that. I am going to completely get rid of this last system that I was working on, where this is like a slingshot and you pull it back and then it shoots forward to hit these dominoes. In the future, I'm going to have it to where this will just throw forward. And that I'm going to work on tomorrow. Today I'm going to work on moving the camera around. So I took a little bit of a break and I've worked on this a little bit more, but I finally got to where I can do this. So the camera can look around. The problem is that it just kind of keeps on going if I don't touch anything, but you can kind of get it to work. Like if you press the opposite button, so it kind of just like floats around a little bit, and I'd like to keep it from doing that. What I want to work on next is switching to another camera. This is the camera that's active, but then eventually I want it like this, where you can press a button and then it will go to here. So that's what I'm going to work on now. Okay, so I've been working on a lot of things. I finally got pretty much everything working, actually. I mean, I have a lot to get to do, but now I can look all around. If I press WASD, I can move forward, I can move side to side. I need to change the speed a little bit, but I wanted it to be able to place it just right and not be too sensitive, so I have to work on that. Eventually that will be written into the settings where you can change the sensitivity and how fast you move and all of that. But the best part is that if you press the space bar, marbles fly out. That's awesome. I'm really excited. I also completely redid everything. So this board is different, the borders are different. I want to have two different kind of boards where one is a flat barrier and if a marble hits it, it's just going to kind of bounce back. But this one is just a little rounded, so it's easier to, as the marble comes up, it can hit it and then roll off. What's going to happen is, as a penalty, if the marble rolls off, it gives the other player another marble to go. So you're incentivized to throw it, but keep it within the border of the playing field. Awesome. Let's just keep on going. All right, I think I've got it pretty much set up. So if you press play, you get this. So this will be the first player version. This is player 2. And then if you press space, you go to player 1's position. And from here, you'll be able to walk around a little bit. If you click the mouse, you shoot the marbles. Just like that. You won't have any more marbles, you'll run out, and then if you press space again, this is switched now where this is player 2 and then this is player 1, but now player 2 is shooting, so they have a little bit of a view of how to shoot. I also have it to where force changes, so right now if I throw a ball that's pretty low, but if I press X, it'll max out the force, and then if I throw another ball, it'll throw it a lot farther. And then if I press Z, it lowers the force, and then it just drops in front like that. So now I'm going to work on some UI to show pretty much everything else. How much force you want to put, You can control your speed, you can control your like look sensitivity and all of that through like the main thing. So that's what I'm going to work on now. First, I've made a mock-up of what I want from the menus. So this was just a little sketch, and then it goes on to, this is a little bit more detailed layout of what I want. All right, it's Friday, and I've gotten most of this game kind of set in place. I've still got a lot of polishing up to do. I still have the scoring system to work out, but I can at least kind of play this game. From this main screen, you can either battle, which is starting the game, you can go to the shooting range, and then settings, which doesn't do anything right now. The shooting range, if you go, you can look around, you can move around. If you see up here, you can adjust your speed. It's going up to like 80, 96 now, and that means you can move really fast. As you go down, then you slowly slow down. Same with the force over here is currently 30,000, but if you press X, then it goes up to 50,000, and then if you go down, it goes to 0. Down here is a menu where if you press I, then it will disable the menu, but basically this is like a tutorial that kind of tells you how to play the game. But for now, I do want to go back to the main menu, so yes. So it brings you back to this, and then you can click battle, and it brings you the tabletop. The player 1 is at the bottom, and their score is here. Player 2 is at the top, and their score is here. Since this is player 1's turn, this is in green, and player 2's score is in red. If you press space, then it goes to player 1. Press A to throw the ball. But now that gave a marble to the other player, so as soon as you press space, it's backwards. If you press space, the player 2 now has a marble, and their force is 30,000. Let's say they want to max it out at 50,000. They get a little overzealous, and they just launch it. Now they have no more marbles, and they can't do anything else. The main thing I want to work on today is getting the scoring. So as soon as one domino gets knocked over, basically right now their rotation is at 0, their Y rotation is at 0, but anytime their rotation is not 0, so basically if this is 0, the more they get turned this way, the more their, I guess it will be X rotation. No, it'll be Y. So anyway, whatever rotation it is, the more, as soon as this changes and this starts to fall over, this rotation, whatever axis this is, will not be 0, and that will basically mean that a domino has been knocked over. So I don't want to change it on the axis to where like the marble might hit the domino and they might turn a little bit, but as long as they're standing up, their rotation will still be straight up and down, which will be 0. It will not count towards the player's score. But as soon as the domino gets hit, it will fall over, and then it will add to whatever player's score. So that's one thing I want to work on. The other thing I want to work on is adding a couple of colliders in. The deal is that this is the midline. This player's marble has to land on their side of the field first before it can go over and hit a marble. That way you can't just come over here and then launch it and say, oh, I got your domino. If it doesn't hit here, then at this barrier, it will explode. That way it doesn't, like, there's no danger of it hitting any of these dominoes. The next thing I want to work on is if this person's marble, if it goes out of bounds, if it hits and then rolls off and collides with this table, then it will give this player another marble. So that's a lot of game mechanics, but that's the last thing I'll need to do before I really kind of have this complete. Other than a lot of polishing, I still need to work on a lot of the physics, but that will come later. But let's see what I can get accomplished today. All right, it's Saturday, and I've pretty much got this done. There's one more thing I want to work on today, but for the time being, the battle will bring you to this screen where player 1 is at the bottom and player 2 is at the top. I got rid of the yellow and red. It was a little bit confusing, so I just went with blue as player 1 and yellow as player 2. I might have where you can choose that in the future, same with the marbles. And the jacks and stuff, you can choose your colors. But for now, player 1 has blue jacks and a blue score. Player 2 has yellow jacks and a yellow score. This main screen is what I want to work on today, where as soon as this comes up, there will be a screen overlapping this that says, what kind of setup do you want? First things first, I'm going to work on being able to drag these dominoes to kind of put them where you want. If you press space, you're taken to this screen, and you've got a little bit of background over here. The score is currently 0-0. I have 1 marble, and the force is midway at 30,000. If I just want to launch a marble, it'll hit the barrier and explode. And then it'll take me to a switched view, and then if the player actually wants to play the game correctly, then they can come over here, say they want to go for this complicated shot. Boom. Nice. But since it went outside, it exploded. And what that does is I got 2 points for knocking down these 2 dominoes, but player 1 or player 2 got a point because my marble rolled off and hit the board. Then if you press space again, it brings you to this same screen. It'll be back and forth, but player 1 now has 2 points, and player 2 has 1 point. And so yeah. So here is what I have so far. From this main screen, I have battle, and then it opens up, choose your setup. Drag your blocks and jacks where you think is best, or choose a setup from the buttons on the right. Press spacebar to continue, and then press M during the game to display instructions. And from here, you can either click dispersed, condensed, or hybrid for both players. In the future, this will match the position based on whatever you click over here. But for now, it's just these 2 kind of basic setups. I did implement to where you can drag these wherever you want. The problem is that if you drag them too much, like you're physically dragging them, like knock over your, yeah, that will happen. So you have to be careful in doing this, but I at least got this UI working a little bit. Okay, it's Sunday, and I'm getting very much near finishing this. The last thing I have to work on is getting these buttons working, which I know a couple of ways to go about it, but that's really the last thing that, or 2 of the last things that I need to work on. But I did implement being able to choose between a square barrier, which makes this thing square, or a round barrier, which makes this kind of rounded. The other thing I implemented is changing your marble. So whenever you first start out, you have basically a clear like marble. You can click bouncy ball to basically make a big bouncy ball, or you can click metal marble to make a big heavy metal marble. So player 1 has the metal marble, this blue marble. Let's lower down a little bit, and then yeah, this thing shoots, and see, it's really heavy, so it doesn't go very far. Well, this is player 2, and they have a bouncy ball, and this still makes me laugh every single time I play it. It's really fun. Let me bump down the force a little bit. So with this one, you have to have a lower force, and with the metal marble, you have to have a higher force. And so it's really fun to play around with those gameplay elements, especially depending on the barrier that you have. The bouncy ball is actually pretty difficult to play with. Let me just go for something. So yeah, it's fun. Go back to the lead marble player. Since it's so heavy, I can basically shoot it and it just keeps on going. That was a terrible shot, but let me try something else. Let me see. Let me go a little bit lower. And yeah. I think it might be a little bit too bouncy, but it's difficult. It's complicated. I have the score system set up right now too, which I also need to work on. Yeah, that'll be a little bit difficult. I also set up some win screens, so if player 1 wins, then something pops up that says player 1 wins, and same for player 2. Right now it's nothing special, it just literally is a screen, but I'll add to that in the future and make it flashy and make fireworks go off and all that stuff, but at least I implemented it well. But basically the main thing I want to do is work on this screen, making these buttons actually apply, and I'm working on the force button. So the right now you can just set the force and throw it at that force, but I want to make it to where the right button, the right mouse button will begin a timer. So basically the force will start at 0, and then it will build all the way up to full capacity. After it hits full capacity, it's going to shoot. But if you want to throw it with a lighter force, then you start it with the right button and then click with the left mouse button wherever you want to stop it. That is proving to be a lot more complicated than I thought it was. But those are my main 2 tasks that I'm going to work on. I haven't really gotten around to working on my NaNoWriMo prep this week. I've been pretty much focused on this. So I'll probably get that done this week. I know most of what I need to do. and where I want to take the story. I do need to work out a few things, but that should really only take a few hours. I was hoping to get to it this week, but it just didn't happen. But yeah, that's pretty much all for this week. I'm gonna try and finish this up. I doubt I'll get done with any of it today, but that's pretty much where this is at. I'm pretty proud of it. It's my first game that I've pretty much made on my own. I've done a lot of tutorials in doing this, but pretty much everything I coded and programmed and figured out on my own, and with the help of a lot of people. It's exciting to have, to see something go from start to finish. It's really, really, really fun. So I'll have it available. I'm gonna work on this, and the next game I'm gonna work on is a solitaire game I made. And that I've been playing for a long time, and it's really, really fun. You can just play it with a regular deck of cards, but I want to implement a lot more cooler features with the video game. For now, I'm just going to focus on getting into NaNoWriMo mode. I'm going to be devoting all of my November videos to NaNoWriMo, since that's pretty much all I'm going to be doing. They're probably going to be shorter videos, just because I'm going to need to be writing constantly, because I have to write a novel in a month. I'll still be doing videos. I want to track the progress and kind of show where I'm at in that. So it'll be fun to kind of switch gears back into author mode. I haven't really been writing on anything for a while, just because I wanted to take some time away. But anyway, that's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, this is what we authors like to call a first draft. So this is the main screen where it explains the rules a little bit. You can go to the shooting range, which brings you here, and have fun throwing marbles around. And then you can go exit to the main menu, which will bring you back here. You can go to the quick battle, which is what I've been working on. You can change your setup to be however you want. If you see, they've gotten kind of rotated a little bit. So if that happens, you can always reset the board. You can change the barriers from a square barrier to a round barrier. You can change the marbles from a bouncy ball and the metal marble. If you press space, you can begin. I've changed the shooting mechanics a significant amount. So now if you hold the mouse button down, it will launch. Same for the second player. If they hold the button down, it'll launch. The force bar will just slowly build up, but if you want to throw it a little bit, then you can hold it down and then let it go, and it will shoot the normal amount, just like that. If you want to go back to the old way of doing things, you press escape, and that opens up this tutorial kind of menu where it shows you what all the directions are. Over here you've got the settings, so you can change the movement speed of player 2 and player 1, and then you can enable easy throwing. So easy throwing is what I was working on in the first place, and then the force goes back to what you were doing before. So you can build it up, or you can lower it down with X and Z, and then you can just click once and it will throw the marble. Same for player 2. If they want to launch it all the way, then they shoot it and it goes crazy. So that's the first game. So Big Battle will take you to this much bigger playing field. You have twice as many dominoes, twice as many jacks. You can still change the setup. You can still drag these if you want. So if you want these however you want to put them. Same for these guys. And it plays the exact same. It's just on a larger scale. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I've still got a lot to work on. I've still got a lot of bugs to fix, but the idea is to have the quick battle, have the big battle. I want to have a war button, which is basically this big battle, but it will be longer. So it will be more like the shooting range, where this board will be twice as big, but you'll have this amount to where this game will just take a longer time, but to me that will live up to the name of Battlefield. Ultimately, I'd like to have an adventure or a story mode, but that's pretty much it. The first draft is officially done.